The NFL playoffs are set, and the 2020 NFL regular season has come to an end. It didn't come without its challenges, but the NFL made it through 17 weeks of regular season action and will now embark on its first playoffs under their new format. The Kansas City Chiefs had locked up the AFC's top seed and a first-round bye before Week 17. The Green Bay Packers locked up the top seed in the NFC and a bye on Sunday. The Cleveland Browns will make their first playoff appearance since 2002, while the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will make their postseason return after last appearing in 2007. The AFC South and NFC Eastern divisional races were both decided last Sunday, with the Tennessee Titans and the Washington football team now set to host games on Wild Card Weekend. And perhaps fittingly, the NFC East wasn't decided until the regular season finale this past Sunday night. Hello, friends, and welcome to this very special edition of Strictly Sports. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old Matt Michael Fletcher, perhaps awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Nothing more to say except first NFL playoffs under the new format. There used to be 6 teams per conference, with the top 2 both getting first-round byes. Not this time. We now have 7 teams in each conference, and only the number 1 seeds get that all-elusive first-round bye. Those teams, like I said, were the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers. Teams 2 through 7 will be playing each other. Number 2 versus number 7, number 3 versus number 6, and number 4 versus number 5. The lowest seed remaining of the 3 winners will meet the number 1 seed in the divisional round in both sides. And the other 2 winners will then face each other. All leading to Super Bowl 55 from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, 1 month from now, February the 7th. So with all that being said, let's dive right on in to the first of our 6 games under the new Super Wildcard Weekend format. 2 triple headers, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. An early afternoon game, a late afternoon game, and a primetime game. And we start things off with our first game that will kick off at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday afternoon. And it will feature the number 7 seed, the Indianapolis Colts, squaring off against the number 2 seed, the Buffalo Bills, from Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. And this game will be over on CBS with Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn. The Buffalo Bills opening up as 6-point favorites. And when it comes to history, we're not going by regular season. We're going by postseason. And this is the first time ever these 2 teams will be meeting in the postseason. So that being said, let's dive right on in. The Indianapolis Colts squeaked into the playoffs with a Week 17 win and a loss by the Miami Dolphins. They will now face a Buffalo Bills team that is as hot as any squad in the league right now. Buffalo has convincingly won 6 straight games. The Bills' finale against the Dolphins was never in doubt, as they steamrolled Miami en route to a 56-26 win, locking up the AFC's number 2 seed in the process. While the Colts' defense and ground game could make this a close contest, the Bills' offense appears borderline unstoppable. Quarterback Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level. Stephon Diggs has established himself as one of the league's top receivers. And Buffalo is getting solid contributions on the ground from Devin Singletary and Antonio Williams. With the Buffalo defense also playing relatively well, no opponent has reached 30 points since Week 10. The Bills may be one of the toughest outs in this AFC playoff race. This won't be an easy game, but the Buffalo Bills have the momentum and will advance to the divisional round. Buffalo wins. Final score 31-25. Buffalo ekes this one out. They'll beat Indy, their former AFC Eastern Division rival. And they'll be doing it in front of fans. New York State, the governor of the state of New York, granted permission for the Buffalo Bills to host fans at Bills Stadium for the first time all season. Every game they had played, there were no fans in attendance whatsoever. But this game Saturday afternoon, there will be fans. So added incentive. So there's nothing more to say. MF, come on in. We did a lot of these games, in our early days when we used to do the AFC, when we were relegated to the AFC East. But here we are again all these years later. These former divisional rivals, first time ever, meeting in the postseason. And for Buffalo, they're going to be squaring off against an old friend in Colts head coach Frank Reich, who was Jim Kelly's faithful backup.
Yeah, he was. And to go back to that very same place, the very same stadium, for Frank Reich, as he was the quarterback for the most famous come-from-behind victory in NFL history. Everybody remembers it. Everybody knows it really well. The 35-3, the Houston Oilers were ahead. Everybody thought it was done. And Frank Reich led the Bills back and pulled off one of the most miraculous come-from-behind wins in NFL history. Before there was the infamous Super Bowl comeback, the 28-3, there was 35-3 that Buffalo pulled off, beating the Houston Oilers en route for them. That led them to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it, but it spurred them to get all the way to Super Bowl 27. Out of the last time we talked about this team, and the reason why I'm bringing about those two words, Super Bowl, is because I'm going to say it. And I know I'm going to take a lot of heat for this, and I'm going to make Anthony Florio a really happy camper. This could be the year Buffalo goes to the game. This could be the year. They got a quarterback in Josh Allen. They got wide receiver with Stephon Diggs and a good little crew that they got. The defense is ferocious. And on top of that, when you're going up against Indianapolis, Indy's got Phillip Rivers. Now, Rivers is a good regular season quarterback. Postseason, he's never made it to the end. He's got to the AFC Championship game, but always ended up losing. And there's always something about him that you just don't know if he is reliable. Now, the one thing I will say, if you're Buffalo, you gotta stop Jonathan Taylor. He is running guys ragged. He is exploding. This rookie from Wisconsin has proven to be as good as advertised.
And I got to bring it up, MF.
Sure.
The last couple of games, he's been on fire. I mean, I remember one game he went over 170, and then this past Sunday in the season finale against Jacksonville, he went for over 200.
Yep. And that's the thing that Buffalo's gonna have to deal if they don't stop him. And I will mean this. If they don't stop him, there could be a really good chance Buffalo is one and done. That's a major threat. You gotta be very, very, very aware of that situation. I think they can do it. I know Buffalo. Look, it's great to have the fans back. in Buffalo. They're going to need that. They're going to need that energy. They're going to need it. Defensively, how are they going to handle how are they going to handle the attack? And especially with Josh Allen. Running game, not much. Passing, they're deadly. They'll kill you anyway. If he goes over the top and deep, they're gonna light you up. Buffalo wins. They advance. There's nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours. Next game.
Okay, and we move on to the NFC side of things. This game will kick off at approximately 4:40 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, and this time we're going to be going over to Fox. A matchup featuring the number 6 seed, the Los Angeles Rams, and they will be squaring off against the number 3 seed, the Seattle Seahawks, from the newly named Lumen Field, formerly CenturyLink Field in Seattle. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, and the newest member of the Fox team, formerly of ESPN, Tom Rinaldi, is going to be working his first assignment on Fox. And they're not wasting any time. They're throwing him right out there. Normally, over the last few years, you would hear me mention the name of Chris Myers. Well, Chris Myers out, Tom Rinaldi in. So he'll be joining Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews for this huge matchup. They have Seattle opening up as a 3.5-point favorite, and this is their second postseason meeting. They have met once before. They met I believe it was in the wild card round, in this very round, 16 years ago, back in January of 2005, in Seattle. The then St. Louis Rams stole one in Seattle, 27-20. So there's the history there. MF, as you start off here, the big question for the Rams, can Jared Goff go? If he can't, it's Wolford. And, he's got to go into Seattle against that D? Good luck, young man.
Yeah. Look, but here's the thing. He was able to navigate through the muddy waters, knocked off Arizona, and that's what got them in. Now, okay, I know a lot of people are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, Mike. Kyler Murray got hurt. That also had a factor. Yes, very true. No doubts about it. I'm not going to gloss over that. And, you got Russell Wilson. You got DK Metcalf. A running game that's probably not great. It's good, but not great. So we're going to have to see how they play. And the defense is not a Legion of Boom style defense, but they are good. And look, but Russell Wilson, you're going to have to be very careful because you got Aaron Donald that's going to be breathing down your neck the whole game. Can you get the ball out there? Can you get it to your receivers? Can you get it to Metcalf? Can you get it to Tyler Lockett? Can you get it to whoever you need to get to? At the end of the day, it's all about being the best. It's all about being, the road to the Super Bowl begins. For Seattle, they have had some great moments, especially in Wild Card Weekend. Everybody remembers the game against the New Orleans Saints. Marshawn Lynch with the epic run that basically sealed the deal for the Seahawks. I think Seattle just has enough offense. They're gonna make a couple of key plays here at the end. I'm gonna call it. I believe Seattle will win. They will advance. So, Anthony, it's yours. I got the Seahawks moving on.
As do I. But let me get into this. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday to slide into the postseason. Their reward will be a date with their NFC West rivals, the Seattle Seahawks. While this is a game that could go either way, the two teams split their regular season series. Seattle has the momentum and the edge. The Seahawks have an MVP caliber quarterback in Russell Wilson, while the Rams may not have starting quarterback Jared Goff. He underwent thumb surgery earlier in the week. Rams coach Sean McVay said, per NFL.com's Adam Maya, quote, we will talk about that. Seattle has also seen a defensive resurgence over the past couple of months. While the Seahawks still rank dead last in passing yards allowed and just 23rd in total defense, they have also held their last 8 opponents under 25 points. The Seahawks rolled the Rams 20-9 in their last meeting, and round 3 could yield similar results. I agree with you, MF. I got Seattle winning as well. My final score, 24-12. Seattle beats the Rams. And we move on to our third and final game for the Saturday slate of action, the primetime game. This will be kicking off at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time over on NBC. It'll be the number 5 seed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Washington Football Team from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, and Catherine Tappan will be on the call for that. Tampa Bay opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. Third postseason meeting between these two. They have met twice before. First meeting was in the it was in an NFC divisional playoff. It was in the divisional playoff, January of 2000 in Tampa. Tampa Bay won that game by a score of 14-13. Their other meeting and their last was in January of 2006, also in Tampa Bay, but it was Washington who stole one there, 17-10 in this very round. First ever postseason meeting in Washington. So here we go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were determined to take the NFC's top wildcard spot in Week 17, and they did so with a 44-27 win over the Atlanta Falcons. The Washington Football Team held off the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday night to earn the honor of hosting Tampa Bay. Yes, the 7-9 Washington Football Team will have home field advantage over the 11-5 Buccaneers. While the records might suggest a mismatch, Washington's 4th-ranked defense is good enough to keep this one close. The deciding factor could be the play of Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady, who seems to have finally found his way in Coach Bruce Arians' offense. Tampa Bay's 6th-ranked defense can force Washington to put the game on Alex Smith's shoulders, and the quarterback making the fewest mistakes should come out on top here. Smith is the 2020 NFL Comeback Player of the Year, but it's hard to bet against Brady in the postseason, especially with a strong roster around him. Closer than you think, but I'm still going with Tampa Bay to steal one here in Washington. 27-22, Tampa Bay ekes one out over Washington. So not much more to say. MF, Tampa Bay, and Washington to close out the Saturday slate of Super Wildcard Weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be a very good matchup to say the very least. But I'm with you, Anthony. I gotta go with Tampa Bay. I just feel like, look, Washington is a nice story, and I'm happy that they got in. But and the thing is, the defense is definitely there. You never know how you're gonna play. If Alex Smith has a surprising good game, he could find Logan Thomas, who's his tight end. He's got Scary Terry. He's got Terry McLaurin, man. And McLaurin's a beast. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know about McLaurin. Trust me, I've seen enough of McLaurin to tell you he's actually a pretty good wide receiver. Mike Evans is a game time decision. We don't know if he's going to play or not. And that might be a key here. Because if Evans cannot play, that's one less receiver to worry about. Even though you still got Chris Godwin, you got Rob Gronkowski, you got Antonio Brown, you got a good running game, and the defense is good. They're stout, and Brady and his playoff pedigree. You know what he brings to the table, so Tampa's going to be good. But if Evans is out, that's a key loss. And that could make it where, Anthony, you're right. That could make the game closer than the experts have it. Tampa will win. I just don't know if it's gonna be a close game or a blowout. If Evans is playing and he's healthy, it's a blowout. Washington gets stomped. But if it's close enough, I could see maybe a 7-10 point game. With Tampa walking away with the victory. So nothing more to say. Anthony, let's go to Sunday.
And we kick off the Sunday slate of action with a 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff over on ABC and ESPN. A renewal of a once great divisional rivalry from the old AFC Central. It will be the Baltimore Ravens, the number 5 seed, the Baltimore Ravens, squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Tennessee Titans, from Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. And the Monday Night Football crew will be calling this game. Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, and Lisa Salters. Baltimore opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. No strangers to the postseason for these two teams. This will be the 5th time they have met in the playoffs. The first coming in January of 2001 in an AFC divisional playoff. The Baltimore Ravens knocked off the then top-seeded Titans 24-10. And you know the rest of that story. That team went on to win the Super Bowl. January of 2004, they played in this wild card round in Baltimore. Tennessee stole one in Baltimore 20-17. January of 2009, they met in another divisional playoff in Nashville, and the Baltimore Ravens stole one in Nashville again, 13-10. And the most recent meeting, 1 year ago, they met in the divisional round in Baltimore, and the Tennessee Titans upset the then top-seeded Ravens 28-12. We got to admit, MF and I had a very tough time deciding which one was going to be ours. This game very easily could have been ours. But the other one I felt was just a little more compelling because of one particular team's story and the bad blood between those two teams as well. And it's a prime time spot. So not much more to say. MF, like I said, this very easily could have been ours. A lot of history here. Baltimore, Tennessee, both teams, they're meeting in the postseason for the 5th time. The other 4 games, legendary battles. Road team won them all. So that definitely favors Baltimore here.
You would think it would favor Baltimore, but I disagree with that. I think this time it's going to be the home team. I'm actually going with the Tennessee Titans to win. First off, let me go a little bit like the Phil Simms. Let me go a little Tony Romo on this. Even though this could have been our game, I want to emphasize on one thing. What did Tennessee do 1 year ago that they were able to do to knock off Baltimore? What did they do? They limited Lamar Jackson. They literally said, okay, we are going to shut you out. We're going to stop you from running the football because that was one of the things you like to do. You wanted it to be a dual quarterback. You could run, you could pass. We knew you can run, so we're going to take that element of the game away from you. You're going to have to throw the football. You're going to have to win it through the air. And guess what? They lit him up and they picked him off. I believe 2 or 3 times in that game, if I remember correctly, Anthony. So that's exactly the same game plan that they're going to have to do this time around. They're going to have to limit Lamar Jackson from running the game, even though they got a stout run team and they're very good. You know, you got J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins could really do some damage. He could do some damage as well. Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, he could run the football. So you got that as well. But remember, they also got a big play threat. You know, you got Hollywood Brown. If he gets loose, and Anthony, you remember because you remember the game. It was back. I think it was the Monday Night Football game when they did. When it was the Cleveland versus Baltimore, that really was a very important game if you think about it in hindsight, because that game kind of opened the door for Baltimore to keep their hopes alive to get to where they were. So,
amen to that. 5-star classic. Game of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what's going to have to happen this time around. You got some weapons down there. You know there are going to be some bombs. You're going to have to navigate through that minefield. Then, if you're Tennessee, what do? pretty simple. You feed the rock to King Henry. You give him the football. You let him go. The brother is big time. For me, I don't know why. And yes, I get it. Quarterbacks wins. Every year the NFL MVP goes to a quarterback. This year, you could really make an argument that Derrick Henry is the MVP of the NFL in 2020.
Look what happened with the Heisman. We got a wide receiver.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's well deserved. He had over 2,000 yards this year. The final game of the season, he went over 250 yards. So I mean, this guy is freaking insane. This guy's out-of-worldly, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the dreadlock powers that my buddy Chisel Adonis talks about all the time. I mean, he is unbelievable. Derrick Henry is without a doubt one of the most unbelievable players we've ever seen in the league. He's dynamic, he's unbelievable, but he also got a pretty good quarterback named Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill can also run the football as well. He can throw through the air. He's pretty good. He's got two good wide receivers in Corey Davis and AJ Brown. I mean, you got some big playabilities down there. The defense is a little suspect, so that could be one problem that Tennessee's going to have to deal with. And especially with a run attack like Baltimore brings to the table, this is going to make it really close, really tight. Here we go again, Anthony. This could be another 5-star classic with Tennessee walking away with the victory and advancing to the divisional round. So I got Tennessee winning. Anthony, it's yours.
For the first time tonight, MF, we have a shakeup. I respectfully disagree with this. I mean, would I be surprised if Tennessee won? Absolutely not. But there are some factors here. First factor, you heard me say it. The 4 times they previously met before, the road team won every single game. That's one big factor. And, of course, the Ravens' momentum. I mean, Tennessee was lucky to win that game against Houston. They should have lost that game, to be honest with you. But they found a way to win. And probably one of the ugliest field goals you will ever see, which was just good enough. I mean, wow. But anyways, this may be the most exciting game of Wild Card Weekend. It will also most likely be the most run heavy. The Baltimore Ravens and dual threat quarterback Lamar Jackson lost to the Titans in the divisional round last year. Derrick Henry and the Titans will be looking to repeat history. Last Sunday, Henry topped the 2,000-yard rushing mark for the regular season, while Jackson became the NFL's first quarterback to run for 1,000 yards in back-to-back years. Quote, "It's just the beginning for us, to be honest with you," Jackson said per ESPN's Jamison Hensley. Both squads are dangerous offensively, and it would be unfair not to mention Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, and the Tennessee passing attack. However, defense could be the deciding factor in this potential back-and-forth contest. The Ravens rank 9th in total defense and 4th in points allowed. Tennessee ranks 29th and 23rd in yards and points allowed, respectively. Expect Baltimore to make just a few more critical stops in a wild one. 5-star Shakespearean drama classic, but I got the Baltimore Ravens. They're out for revenge, and I think they'll get it. 38-34, Baltimore beats Tennessee. Picks like that are the reason why I won our Pigskin Pick'em League this year. So I didn't win it for nothing. So we'll see what happens. So 38-34, Baltimore beats Tennessee. All right. The second game of the Sunday slate. 4:40 p.m. Eastern kickoff. And this game, believe it or not, is going to be not only broadcast on CBS, but it will also be broadcast on Nickelodeon and Amazon Prime Video on top of that. NFC wildcard matchup, the number 7 seed, the Chicago Bears, squaring off against the number 2 seed, the New Orleans Saints, from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Hello, friends. Yes, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, and Jay Feely will be on the call for this game. New Orleans is the biggest favorite of the week. They are opening up as 10-point favorites in this one. No stranger to postseason for these two. They've met before, twice before. This will be their third meeting. First meeting was either December of 1990 or January of 91 in an NFC first-round playoff game, as they called it. In Chicago, the Chicago Bears defeated the New Orleans Saints by a score of 16-6. The last postseason meeting between these two, January of 2007, they met in the NFC Championship game in Chicago as well, and the Chicago Bears manhandled the New Orleans Saints 39-14 as they advanced to Super Bowl 41, only to lose to Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts on that rainy monsoon night in Miami. So, with all that being said, let's get into this. Despite sagging during the middle portion of the regular season, the Chicago Bears managed to get back into the postseason with an Arizona Cardinals loss to the LA Rams last Sunday. However, the Bears are not carrying much momentum out of their 35-16 loss to the Green Bay Packers and will now face one of the NFC's better teams. The New Orleans Saints have a healthy Drew Brees at quarterback and one of the NFL's better defenses. The Saints rank third in yards and eighth in points allowed. What the Saints may not have is a full running backs room, as Alvin Kamara was placed on the reserve/COVID-19 list, and multiple other backs were deemed close contacts. However, the Saints were still able to field a functional rushing attack against the Carolina Panthers in Week 17 with Ty Montgomery topping the 100-yard mark. They have enough talent offensively and are sound enough on the other side of the ball to survive another week without Kamara and company. Chicago will need a near-perfect game from quarterback Mitchell Trubisky to win here. While Trubisky has been better in recent weeks, he stumbled against the Packers and is not likely to outduel Brees in such a pivotal contest. Closer than you think, but I'm still going with the New Orleans Saints to win this one. Final score for me, 30-23. The New Orleans Saints knock off the Chicago Bears in the Dome. So, not much more to say here, MF. Chicago and New Orleans on CBS and Nickelodeon. What about that?
And actually, just to let you fine folks know, the commentators for the game on Nickelodeon. Now, this is separate from the one on CBS. So CBS, Anthony has said it. That is correct. It will be Tony Romo with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wilson. For the Nickelodeon fans, for all you people out there that wants to watch the game with the kids and watch it, because there's supposed to be special features, special things that they're going to do during the game for the Nickelodeon fans only. So if you don't want to watch it that way and want to watch traditional football, then go to CBS. But if you want to see little special themes or special things, slime or whatnot on the broadcast, with the graphics and everything else, then you go to Nickelodeon, and your commentators for that game will be Noah Eagle. Now, that is the son of Iron Eagle and lead commentator for the LA Clippers in basketball. He will be joined by Nate Burleson. You guys know him from the NFL on CBS, and he also does a lot of stuff on NFL Network. He's on Good Morning Football. They will be joined by All That Star and Nickelodeon Unfiltered. Her name is Gabrielle Nevaeh Green. They will be on, that's a 3-person commentary booth. And then on the sideline reporter is Lex Lumpkin. He actually is an actor for the show All That, the revamped edition of All That. And also one other person that's going to be your pregame announce crew. I believe that will be, they'll have a pregame announce crew theme for Nickelodeon, along with Denver Broncos player Von Miller. So that's for that. So for all you fans on Nickelodeon, that's where you're going to get on Sunday afternoon at 4:30. Now, on to the game. I think New Orleans will win the game as well. I think New Orleans is destined to make a run at the Super Bowl this year, and I think this is the team that could do it. I know, everybody remembers the last time they were in this situation in a playoff game in New Orleans. The last two major playoff games that they were in New Orleans, they've lost both games, but I don't think they're going to lose this one. I just feel like the Saints are absolutely in poise mode right now. Alvin Kamara is playing off one of the greatest games he's ever had in his career. I mean, the last game he actually played, meaningful game, he had 6 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? So, no, I think that's it. It's over. New Orleans advances, and they're going to move on. Anthony, it's yours.
You ready for the main event of Wildcard Weekend, MF?
Let's go.
The Tony and Mikey special. It is the AFC Wildcard game. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday Night Football, if you will. First time ever, we're going to have a Sunday night primetime wildcard game. How about that? And boy, howdy, did we luck out on this one. It's going to be the number 6 seed, the Cleveland Browns. First playoff appearance since 2002, squaring off against the very same team they faced in that postseason game. The number 3 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The traditional Sunday Night Football crew, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya will be on the call. Pittsburgh opening up as a 6-point favorite. And these two legendary divisional rivals, third time they're meeting in the postseason. The first time was in January of 1995. They met in the divisional playoff, and the Pittsburgh Steelers absolutely took it to the Cleveland Browns at the old Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, 29-9. The other one of the great wild card games of all time, January of 2003, at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers coming from way back to defeat the Cleveland Browns in a wild 36-33 5-star Shakespearean drama classic. And also keep in mind, folks, that the Cleveland Browns have not won in Pittsburgh since 2003. That was a Sunday night game in October of that year. I remember that one very vividly. So there isn't much more to say. MF, as we all know, MF is to Phil Simms and Tony Romo to my Jim Nance. This is our game right here. The Browns and the Steelers, prime time, under the lights at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh on Sunday night. MF, nothing more for me to say except do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game, no doubt about it. Cleveland won about a week ago. They knocked off Pittsburgh. It was a tough game, hard-fought game, but they did win. A lot of people thought maybe, with Ben Roethlisberger now back in, how's that going to shake out? I think that will have a difference. Plus, being in Pittsburgh is also going to have a difference. I think when it's all said and done, the Pittsburgh Steelers will advance. I just feel like right now, even though Cleveland's had an amazing run, and I don't think there's nothing that should be taken away from Cleveland's run, but Pittsburgh right now, look, I think at the beginning of the year, when they were making that run, we were thinking, oh my God, they're going to be the Super Bowl representative for the AFC. And then you started seeing them lose some games. They lost a big one to Buffalo. They lost a game over here, lost games there. And you're thinking, what's going on with them? Then we saw Cleveland make their run. And you're thinking, is Cleveland for real? Are they going to make, could this be their year where they could make some unbelievable moves? Well, now it's put up or shut up. This is the moment that we're going to have to wait and see. Yes, Pittsburgh is the favorite, and granted that they are. But would I be shocked if Cleveland wins this? No, absolutely not. I think Cleveland is for real, and they're going to be a threat, and they're going to be a problem for years to come. At the end of the day, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh, but Anthony, this is a very reluctant pick more than anything else. It's yours.
Absolutely. It was not a stellar final stretch for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost 4 of their final 5 games. However, Pittsburgh is a well-rounded team, which is why they started the season 11-0. Their defense is elite, ranking second in both points and yards allowed. And when quarterback Ben Roethlisberger is playing well, the methodical offense is good enough to win. Roethlisberger rested in the finale against Cleveland along with starters such as TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, and Marquise Pouncey. Pittsburgh's B team still only lost to the Browns after a failed 2-point conversion attempt. The Browns deserve credit for finally ending their playoff drought and for getting to 11 wins. However, they've only beaten 2 AFC playoff teams en route to that record and have largely fed on underwhelming competition. Perhaps most importantly, the Browns have been wildly inconsistent on defense and will need perfection to stop Big Ben and company on Sunday night. The Browns haven't won in Pittsburgh since Roethlisberger was drafted in 2004. That streak is not going to end this year, even though I would not at all be surprised if Cleveland were to steal one here. And to be honest, I'm rooting for those guys. I really am, considering that they had the longest playoff drought before they finally snapped it. But I think it'll be close for 3 quarters, but I think Pittsburgh will pull away in the 4th. I got Pittsburgh winning this game. Final score 30-20. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Cleveland Browns. So there's really not much more to say on this. So with all that being said, we have one more order of business here, and there's nothing more to say except Monday night. It is the college football playoff national championship game on Monday night, approximately 8 p.m. Monday night on ESPN. The number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide squaring off against the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor, they will be there. And according to my notes here, Alabama opening up as a 7.5-point favorite. They will meet for the 5th time in history when they play for the national title on Monday night. They have met 4 times. Alabama leads the all-time series 3-1. Alabama beat Ohio State 35-6 in the 1978 Sugar Bowl. And then on opening day, week 1 of the 1986 season, at the Meadowlands, at the old Giants Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, Alabama defeated Ohio State 16-10. Third meeting was in the 1995 Citrus Bowl. Alabama also won that game by a score of 24-17. And the most recent meeting, New Year's Day 2015, in the inaugural college football playoff semifinal, Ohio State, they were the number 4 seed, and they upset number 1 Alabama in the Sugar Bowl 42-35 thanks to Ezekiel Elliott. So there's the history there. So with that schematic out of the way, let's get into the real schematics. Number 1 Alabama and number 3 Ohio State meet in the college football playoff championship game Monday night in a classic blue blood matchup. Alabama is in its 5th college football playoff championship game under coach Nick Saban after beating number 4 Notre Dame 31-14 in the Sugar Bowl semifinal. The Crimson Tide are also looking for a 6th national championship under Saban, and the offense averages 48.2 points a game. Devontae Smith, wide receiver Devontae Smith, quarterback Mac Jones, and running back Najee Harris lead that offense, which might, keyword might, get an extra lift with the potential return of Jalen Waddle. Ohio State answered any doubts about its playoff credentials with a 49-28 victory over number 2 Clemson that first game was the Rose Bowl semifinal that Alabama beat Notre Dame. The victory by Ohio State against number 2 Clemson, that was in the Sugar Bowl semifinal. Quarterback Justin Fields is coming off a 6-touchdown performance despite taking a nasty hit in the second quarter. Second-year coach Ryan Day expects Fields to play, and the running game has taken off with Oklahoma transfer Trey Sermon. It's trending toward a shootout and an instant classic. And here's everything you need to know about this. Crimson Tide are in the CFP for the 6th time, and they are in the championship game for the 5th time. Alabama is 2-2 in those previous 4 title games. This is Ohio State's 4th CFP appearance and 2nd appearance in the championship game. The Buckeyes beat Oregon 42-20 on this stage in 2014 in the inaugural college football playoff. The 3 trends to know: Alabama has been favored in all 4 previous CFP championship appearances. The Crimson Tide is 2-2 straight up in those games, but they are 0-4 against the spread. The Crimson Tide, 8-4 against the spread this season, and that includes a 2-1 against the spread mark when the spread is fewer than 20 points. The Buckeyes played the underdog card to perfection against Clemson, but that has been the standard with former coach Urban Meyer and now Ryan Day as head coach. The Buckeyes are 8-1 against the spread as an underdog since 2012. The 3 things to watch: number 1, Justin Fields' encore. Fields was spectacular against Clemson, even after taking a brutal hit from Clemson linebacker James Skalski. Fields threw 3 touchdowns to his receivers, including 2 to Chris Olave. But it was the 3 touchdown passes to tight ends Jeremy Rucker and Luke Farrell that kept the Tigers off balance. Garrett Wilson figures to be more involved in this game too. Alabama's secondary features first-team All-American cornerback Patrick Surtain II, son of the legendary Patrick Surtain. MF remembers him from his days with the Dolphins, and he was a big help. He was a monster on that D. But that defense has been exploitable against high-powered passing attacks this season. The past 3 quarterbacks to beat Alabama who didn't play for Auburn were Clemson's Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence and LSU's Joe Burrow. That is the level at which Fields must play, and he is capable of doing it. Number 2, Alabama's receivers. Quarterback Mac Jones has a super talented group to work with in the passing game. Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith is on a 2-game tear in which he torched Florida and Notre Dame. He had 22 catches for 314 yards and 5 touchdowns in those 2 games. Ohio State, which allows 271 passing yards a game, can't lose Smith in the middle of the field like the Irish did. John Mechie's 17.8 is another threat, and if Waddle, who averaged 22.3 yards a catch before suffering a leg injury against Tennessee on October 24, plays, then offensive coordinator and soon-to-be Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian will have even more wrinkles to add to the playbook. And number 3, which big back goes large? Najee Harris and Trey Sermon are 2 big-time backs, and running the ball remains a priority for both teams. Will Sermon play the role of Ezekiel Elliott, who had 20 carries for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns in the last meeting between these teams? Sermon's late-season surge has opened the playbook for the Buckeyes, and he's up against an Alabama defense that allows 3.2 yards a carry. Ohio State also allows just 3.2 yards a carry, and Harris is a tough physical runner. Which interior line wins on both sides? That will dictate the tempo of this game. The stat that matters: red zone touchdowns. Ohio State's red zone offense was phenomenal against Clemson, and the challenge is to stay that way against the Crimson Tide. The Buckeyes scored touchdowns on 25 of 39 red zone trips this year, and Alabama allowed 17 touchdowns on 34 red zone trips by its opponents. On the other side, Alabama scored touchdowns on 48 of 62 red zone visits, and the Buckeyes allowed 15 touchdowns in 23 trips by their opponents. This is a game in which touchdowns, not field goals, will win. Alabama has a small advantage here, but that can change in a game like this. Prediction: in that last meeting, Alabama was just 2 of 13 on 3rd down. Jones will be more efficient than that, and the Crimson Tide will take a double-digit lead in the second quarter after Smith's second touchdown. Ohio State won't go away, however, and a Sermon touchdown before halftime will set up a thrilling second half. Both teams will trade touchdowns in a frantic fourth quarter. Which team gets that crucial score or stop in crunch time? That's the ultimate toss-up. But at the end of the day, I have to go with the experience, and I have to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide to come out on top and win the national championship. Final score, 37-34. Alabama ekes out the national championship over Ohio State, but I would not, however, at all be surprised if Ohio State were to pull off another big one, another major upset. They did it once. They're very capable of doing it again, but I just don't know if they can. So, especially against this team. So, 37-34, Bama wins the national championship in a 5-star Shakespearean drama classic. Nothing more to say, MF, as we always like to do. This is the main event, brother. This is what it was meant for. It don't get no bigger than this.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. Look, I was called crazy and out of my mind that I went with Ohio State against Clemson.
You were right.
But surely I wouldn't go down the rabbit hole a second time, would I? Well, everything that's riding on this game, and we've all heard about Bama and, how it's been next victim and everything else. Ohio State is not that team. They've looked the part. They've played the part. They played less games. And that's a factor too. So I think, by not having that many games that they've had this year, they're more fresher. They're more ready. They're more geared up. I think that's going to help Ohio State. If this needs to be a track meet, Ohio State can match. And they have proven that they've got the horses, they got the offense, they got the defense, they got everything else. What they did to Trevor Lawrence and to Clemson, they could easily do to Matt Jones, and they could stop Devontae Smith. They could shut him out if they wanted to. There are going to be some moments where Smith will get off. There'll be moments where Matt Jones will make a big play here and there. There's no doubt about it. They'll make their big plays. Can they go all the way to win it? I don't know. That's a dangerous thing. And Justin Fields has proven himself to be a worthy quarterback and is ready for the big game. Can they pull it off? We'll see. For me, this is going to be really tight, really close, everything else. I'm going to say Bama, but I would not be shocked if Ohio State does pull it off. I'm going to go with Bama, and I think it's going to be close, less than a touchdown. So, nothing more to say. Anthony, let's call it a night.
Yes, indeed. That will put the bow on this special edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. We will be back with you at this time tomorrow. Well, 10:30, actually. 10:30 tomorrow night over on MF's channel, Race Fan 95, for a very exciting edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Now, I know you're saying, oh, it's only SmackDown Live. Big deal. Oh, no. MF's got more for you. He's got a lot more for you. A very loaded Mikey's Mindset, in addition to our review of Friday Night SmackDown. Am I correct on this, MF? You're gonna hit us up with the results of both nights of New Japan's biggest event of the year, Wrestle Kingdom, and their New Year's Dash show.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear all about it. That'll be a very loaded Mikey's Mindset, and that's our show tomorrow. That and our review of Friday Night SmackDown. 2 championship matches on that show. And Big E will defend the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship against Apollo Crews. And the Street Profits will defend the SmackDown Tag Team Championship against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. So that'll all go down tomorrow night. And then we'll be off for the weekend, and then we'll be back with you on Monday night for another edition of Ridiculously Raw. We'll review Monday Night Raw. And, of course, I'll have a very special Tony's Take. My Tony's Take returns. I'll give you my thoughts on Impact Wrestling and 205 Live, and I'll give you the results of the Impact Wrestling Genesis special, which goes down Saturday night on the Impact Plus. And and that's it. So that'll be it for that. And then Wednesday, of course, Wednesday Night Mayhem. And then this program next week, another exciting Strictly Sports. Main event, of course, will be the 4 NFL divisional playoff games, but we are also going to preview the upcoming NHL season. We'll get into that as well. Maybe some hot stove, we'll see. So, and then SmackDown after that. So there you go. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Braves Fan 95, this is Anthony Florio here, signing off on behalf of my panel, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, Dee Woodson, and always in forever, Derek Forever. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw the Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, keep it watching this special edition of Strictly Sports right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody. Bye.